Over 2,200 feet of automation, thousands of cans per minute, all leading to a frosty drink straight from the fridge or freezer. This is Blackfly.
What can I get you?
Do you have Blackfly?
What flavor?
Vodka grapefruit.
Absolutely.
Awesome. People across the country have been enjoying Blackfly for 17 years. And these Blackflies are way more fun than those pests in cottage country. It all started right here in London, Ontario, when a couple with a big idea decided to be the first Canadian company to jump into ready-to-drink beverages, or RTD. Now, Blackfly is taking on the multinationals and winning. And the taste of that victory is sweet. But not too sweet. And this is where the magic happens. Cocktails from the bottle to my belly.
The bottling line runs at 130 bottles a minute. One of our canning line runs at 220 cans a minute. And our largest and newest canning line, which is one of the largest in Canada, runs at 1,750 cans a minute. Our overall capacity at Blackfly is approximately 38 million cases a year, of which 1 million cases are the Blackfly brand.
When they started, neither Cathy nor Rob Kelly ever imagined they'd wind up here.
Blackfly came about as a plan on a piece of paper. We say it was a brewery that went sideways. I'd looked at microbrewing initially, and we saw an opportunity in the what we call RTD, the cooler market.
We started in 2005 in a 1,000 square foot building. It was so tiny, we had to manufacture there and pack our unique 4-packs by hand off-site.
We started with one original product. We had one flavor. Life was much simpler with one. We were semi-automated when we started. We had filling machines and things like that, but we did a lot of our process by hand.
Like any new business, there were some serious bumps on the road.
When our equipment came in and we had to start production just in time for our first order, the labeler didn't work. So we called in family and friends and the couple team members we have, and we hand-labeled our first 75,000 bottles, day and night, in order to make the first order.
I guess business, you dream of growth, so that's what it's all about. And so we've just constantly grown and had to change our facilities.
Today, the scope of what they do right here in London is staggering.
Goodness. We do 40,000 to 50,000 cases per day that come out of this factory on any given day. That's a lot. I mean, last year we didn't even do that per week, so since our expansion, it's been astronomical, the amount of product that we can push out of here.
With new capacity, they've also changed their business plan to package for other ready-to-drink brands in Canada and the US.
We saw tremendous opportunity to expand our business to be a co-manufacturer or a co-packer for other products because there is so much demand in the marketplace and because we're experts at what we do.
That means tightly scheduling 24/7 to have the right supplies on hand every hour.
It's a dance, and we have people that on our team, that's what they do.
From that first vodka cranberry recipe, the Blackfly brand has grown and evolved.
We have about 35 different flavors sold across Canada in different spirit bases. We have vodka, tequila, rum, and gin beverages. We do use real juices. We use concentrated juices that are essence returned, so they capture some of the antioxidants and good beneficial aspects of the juice. And it's also important for mouthfeel.
More than 100,000 kilos of juice run through the factory yearly in the only manual part of their process.
The mixing is essentially people weighing out ingredients and blending them together. So what we make is a concentrated version of a beverage. And then, in line, as we go to the filler, we will add units of water to the syrup to give you the final beverage, essentially.
Then they add alcohol, 48,000 liters of it a day, concentrated and stored outside for safety. Early on, Blackfly took the bold move of creating its own distinctive wide-mouth bottles to stand out.
To our knowledge, we're the only craft producer of alcohol that can make their own packaging or process.
The more that we can do in-house, the less transportation costs we have, the less packaging we use. When it comes to our bottles, we like to say we go pellet to pallet. Blackfly bottles are PET1 recyclable plastics, food-grade plastics. And they begin, like every plastic bottle, in a pellet form before it's transformed or made through a heat process into a preform.
Once the preforms are done, we'll take them over to our bottle line. And there we have what's called extrusion blow molding that happens. So essentially, it's a secondary process where we take the preforms and we heat them up again using light bulbs. So you would think that we would use flames, but no, light bulbs are used. The preform goes in, and then we apply high pressure air and mechanical stretching in the form of a metal rod, and essentially the bottle's blown. It comes out as a fully formed bottle that's exactly the same every time.
We have 3 lines in our current facility of 225,000 square feet.
This smaller line is exclusively for Blackfly bottle runs, pouring out margaritas, vodka coolers, and pina coladas, to name a few. It's automated, consistent, and packaging is kept to a minimum to reduce the impact on the environment. The canning line on this side has a cool piece of machinery to give them flexible packaging.
The lead times for printed cans is long, and the demand for cans is broad. So there's lots of brands, both alcohol and non-alcohol, that struggle with keeping their cans in stock.
So they keep a massive amount of bright or blank cans in stock and adapt them with inline sleeving.
We take very, very thin sheets of plastic on which we print our graphics, and they are inserted on the cans at very high speeds, and they go through a steam tunnel, and just like our trays, the plastic gets shrunk onto the can, and it allows us to, have a lot of flexibility with our supply chain.
But it's here, on their massive new canning line, that their co-pack business is booming. It runs around the clock, and it's so fast, we had to have them slow it down so we could see the individual cans. And what they do at this speed is mind-blowing.
There's very large skids of cans that are inserted into what's called a depalletizer. The depalletizer essentially takes skids of cans and pushes them layer after layer in a controlled fashion onto the conveyor belt. And the key with that is really to make sure that the cans are not tipping over, because at the speeds that we're going at, we don't have time to pick them up one at a time. From there, the cans go from mass accumulation to what is called single file. So essentially the conveyors get narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower until they get to what's called a twist rinser and also a coder. Every can is coded for the date of production, what we're making, where it's getting made. Sometimes there's a best before date and other information that our customers want. And essentially that happens as the cans are twisting down towards the filler. The filler bowl is that big ring that you see on top of the filler. That's called the ring bowl. So in there you have product that is ready to be put in the cans. As the wheel turns, the product is injected into the cans. It's a volumetric filler, which means that it calculates the volume through electronics, essentially. Our filler right now goes all the way up to 1750 cans per minute, depending on what we're running. Imagine that at that speed, which is 3 times faster than the machine gun, you have to measure the volume that goes into every single can right up to the milliliter without leaving any oxygen in the headspace.
Next, the bubbles.
We have a large amount of CO2 under pressure that's sitting outside, and that CO2 is being driven into the product. It's being forced into solution at very low temperatures to give us exactly the amount of carbonation that we want.
After the cans are filled, nitrogen is injected into the headspace to force out any oxygen that could cause the can to rust.
After we're done filling the liquid, the can goes to what's called the seamer. And seaming is a really interesting process. As you can see, it spins really, really fast. Essentially, what you see at very high speeds is the aluminum getting folded over itself in two steps. A first operation that curves the can like this, so 90% of the seam is created during the first operation, and the second operation just presses it together.
This is where quality control comes in. Cans from the line are tested for things like alcohol content and alkalinity, and the seals are checked to make sure the run is up to exacting standards.
We're talking thousandths of a millimeter in terms of measurements to achieve a good seam across 6 or 7 different parameters. So it's very, very difficult to accomplish.
From here, the cans are pasteurized at high temperatures to make sure there's no bacteria in the drink or the can. Then, the recipe for packaging is fed into a computer on each line.
Palletizing, what we're seeing here is 2 robot arms that actually turn the cases into different configurations. It's like a big giant game of Tetris. So essentially it creates every layer individually and then pushes the layers on one to each other, thereby minimizing the amount of space between the cases, maximizing the amount of cases per square inch on that skid, and us also making sure that the skid is built in a way that's stable. Up to now, there's been no human intervention. From mixing, everything has been automated, and all we're doing is making sure that the quality is consistent and that the machines are running and the machines are well fed in terms of raw material.
Up to 50 trucks a day leave this warehouse, loaded with over 113,000 cases of ready to drink. If you lined up a year's worth of output from this factory, it would go around the Earth 1.6 times. Incredible. But success for this family-run company is measured in other ways.
For many years, we were a handful of people. 4 years ago, we were at about 40 team members, and we are over 145 today.
Canning line 2, we're running watermelon right now, switching over to mango, and then we'll run blueberry later for the mixer pack.
The joy of having a family business, being able to stay in our hometown of London, Ontario, and grow that business significantly in our home community is a real privilege.
Together, Cathy and Rob have built something they never imagined possible.
It's hard to fathom how far we've come.